welcome to episode 8 of the Peerless Gamer. I'm going to call this campaign Lumina Aegis, for those of you who are asking about what the campaign name might be for episode 1. Like most missions, it's almost like a mission name where it doesn't really have any bearing on that, or maybe it will eventually once we figure that out. So as we learned at the end of episode 7, security on the station is, they're not lax, but they're very overworked and resource poor. And so Slick and James have been invited to assist in a limited fashion or in a limited capacity. We may see this as a private contractor or some sort of thing where we're brought on. Maybe security is keeping James and Slick in their sights because they still don't trust them, or they are there to do things that maybe the security people can't do because of their charter or what have you. So what we're gonna see in this episode is the continuing story. James is going to go and search out some clues and find out some additional information, which we'll role play through here, and hope you enjoy. And let's get started. Officer Garcia is like, yes, we'd love to. I'll talk to our superiors, but I'm almost certain that the more the merrier at this point if we can help out one another and get this done. So I think what we need you to do, and they're telling James this, for now, they give back the the communications device, and they give back your identification and what have you, and they're like, well, first thing we do, we get you a little cleaned up. We're sorry about the stun gun and the taser and everything. And so, oh yes, I need to do a little housekeeping here. So let me go and, all right, so our momentum is now 9. Interesting. All right, so I have a feeling we're going to need that at some point in the future to burn. So yeah. Okay, good. So we are going to go get you cleaned up. I think we're going to let you go and go back to your ship. We'll take the clamps off the docking ring. We do need you to contact your captain, though, to find out what's going on with that, and see what the relationship between Dr. Manand and the captain was. So the guards, Officer Garcia, Officer Adher, said that about a week ago there was a mishap on the station where the entire station lost power for, 10, 15 seconds, and it was enough to almost cause a lockdown. The station's power came back online, but after that, some things have changed. The next day, the doctors came out, Dr. Voigt and Dr. Winslet sent out an announcement over the station talking about a brand new initiative that's going on, and many of the research scientists have been super busy. Working all hours of the night, including Dr. Manand, and on this new initiative, and we're a little unsure as to what's going on there. So if you can find out anything, because it was during this initiative and spacewalks occurred, and there was a lot of uptick in external activity on the station. If you have any information that you can find out, that would be very helpful, because it was due to this new initiative that caused the death of Dr. Manand. So James thinks about it, says, okay, I'll see if I have any other contacts here on the station that might have some information. Maybe I'll go talk to those research scientists that were looking for my cargo. And Officer Garcia is like, what cargo? And James tells her about the large crate that was headed for one of the research labs, and Officer Garcia is like, yeah, see if there's anything interesting, especially since you said that crate was extremely large and major piece of machinery. We have some contacts down in the stevedore, the longshoreman. Maybe we can find out what was when it was uncrated. And James is like, yes, it should already be in the research lab. I don't know how long I was out after you all tased me, but it was being delivered when I went to look for Dr. Anand. So Garcia says, yeah, we'll go check that out and see where that research lab was or where that crate ended up, and get a hold of us in a couple hours, or sooner if you find out anything. So James says, yeah, no problem. It's great to meet you, and we'll do whatever. Slick and I'll do whatever we can to get to the bottom of this. All right, so with that in mind and with that knowledge, James goes and gets cleaned up. First thing he does is he contacts Slick, and Slick is understandably concerned. Hadn't seen or heard from James in a few hours. Last thing James said to Slick was the guards was taking him somewhere. Hey boss, what happened? And James fills Slick in about the accident on the station, or the incident on the station, the fact that the doctor's dead, Dr. Anand is dead, and that the security force, or the guards, the officers, want their help in trying to solve this mystery. And so James says, yeah, meet me at the bar. James says, meet me at the Iron Dove, which is one of the few what they consider a bar. It's managed by one of the leisure companies as a recreational area or an adult area for what limited trade or what limited recreation is here on Nema Station. So it takes Slick a few minutes to get there because it is not close to the docking rings. And what is it? Is it seedy? Is it what kind of bar is it? Is it a seedy bar? I would just say let's do D100, and the higher the number, the more I would say classy it is, right? So if we get like an 01, it's going to be like the seediest, nastiest dive bar you've ever, think Roadhouse from Patrick Swayze's movie, but like, even Patrick Swayze's like, oh, that don't even think I want to go there. So let's do that. Would have been helpful if I had 32 or 23. There's not much difference here, so I'm gonna say I was a 32. So it's just Patrick Swayze's like, this will be a challenge, right? So you go in there and it's definitely local. But being on a research station, it's going to be folks that obviously are passing through or here for a short amount of time. It's very grubby. I would say you're not going to see a lot of research folks, or if you do, they're probably trying to hide out or do things that they don't want to be caught doing. You don't see people in the different colored jumpsuits because seedy area of the station. Maybe this is one of those places that just kind of got stood up without maybe official official sanction. Many of the bars on the station I mentioned are ran by certain leisure companies or recreational companies. Maybe this one was at one time, but then maybe it got taken over by local management or became a franchise, and it's just kind of its own thing, right? And so it's not it's a seedy, it's seedier. So you've got, maybe this is where things are done and not talked about. So, researchers probably come down here to get some peace and quiet. Maybe they find maybe there's drugs. Maybe there's, recreational drugs that would look frowned upon by their management or what have you. So they tend to, dress up in clothes that are not, research scientist clothes or, the coding of their job function or what have you. Might get away with things here. Why would James know about this place? Let's see. Why would James know about this place? Maybe there's something else going on at the station other than research. Maybe it's could it be a black market of sorts? Maybe there's an undertow of trade there. Maybe there's a big station. Not a lot of it's being used for research. This is not in the public, as public. Maybe this is in the outskirts of the station that isn't constantly working. I mean, there's a bar. One of the androids is there, but maybe he's a little beat up. So yeah. Okay. Yeah, that works. Get away from public. Yeah, I'm just writing down some notes here to chronicle what's going on. Might find hard to locate items. So yeah, maybe there's a thriving black market on the station, or a black market of sorts where people can trade for things that they're looking for. Not every ship that comes in is always, there may be some legit goods on the ship, but there's a side hustle, right? So even James has the side hustle going on from time to time. Would that mean that James has something along with him on the Deliverance that he uses for trade or can trade? And what would that be? So, how many people are in the bar? It's a dive bar, so maybe it's not all that large. Maybe it would, fit like a, yeah. So, let's roll a d10 and see how many people are in the bar. Just 1 to 10. There's 10 people, 1 people, including like the bartender and the attendants and stuff. So there's at least 3 people in the bar. Okay, so maybe it's interesting time of the day. So those 3 people. Does James know any of those people? So there's only 3. And I guess it would be predicated on, do we know which ships are in the station? So how would I do that? Ask the Oracle. Let's just ask the Oracle straight up. So we need to go to page 8. Ask the Oracle. Okay. Answer is yes if you roll. Okay, so I'm going to say it's unlikely that we will know anybody here. Okay, so we don't know anybody here. So how will we go about doing this? So James sits down, orders a drink, through the app, because there's always an app. It's the, bartender brings over a nice Pilsner or something like that, some kind of beer. Slick comes in, and Slick is apprehensive. She sees James in one of the corner booths and goes and has a sit. They reacquaint themselves. Hey, I was kind of worried there for a moment, boss. James like, yeah, it's nothing I couldn't handle. No problems. Even though James was scared shitless, right? James asks Slick if she recognizes anybody in the station. So I would say it's probably just as unlikely that Slick would know anybody. And she doesn't, using the same graph as before. So I think it's time for James to go make a friend. So sees somebody at the bar. So if we describe the bar, we've described the bar as, kind of being a bit seedy. There might be some music going on in the background. There's definitely smoke of some kind, whether it be, your smoke du jour, or could be something, a bit piquant, if you will. The bar is a circle kind of sitting in the middle of the room. So the bartender, the robotic bartender, zooms around, taking drinks for the patrons. There's other ones that are running around for the various tables. So it's kind of a concentric kind of circle thing. And you see a woman in a somewhat revealing outfit, which is kind of odd. It's a blouse, but it's not buttoned. Obviously, the robotic bartender doesn't take any interest. She's sitting there nursing a drink. Looks like she's had it for quite a while, at least as long as you've been in the bar that you've noticed. She is not disheveled. She looks like she takes care of herself. There's another gentleman in the bar who has a parrot on his shoulder, which you haven't seen animals around the station before, which you find this interesting. This person obviously looks like he doesn't, I don't want to say he doesn't fit in here being a research station, but you can tell that maybe he doesn't do research. He has he's not sitting next to the woman. He's sitting, several seats down, but he is drinking a whiskey. And third person you can't see. They're kind of obscured by on the other side, but you did see movement. You do see shadows on the walls where the light was blocking, and somebody is sitting over there, but you can't tell who that is. So between the two of them, if it doesn't work out, then we'll go talk to the third person. We'll go up we'll introduce ourselves. Evans is the lady, odds is the guy. Okay, so Evans, we're going to talk to the lady. I'm guessing James thinks that, well, if maybe the guy with the parrot isn't from here, and maybe the lady who, looks like she's, got a little better dressed or whatever is maybe from here. So, all right. So, James walks up, asks the bartender for a whiskey, neat, whatever you have on available. Bartender's like, yes, thank you for coming to the bar, and because the programming is such that it hasn't learned that it's in a really god awful place. But it does have a stocked bar, so somebody's managing it in some way. So sits down, and as you sit down, the woman turns and looks at you. She looks kind of tired. She's obviously feels like she's been busy, and she just wanted a nice quiet place to hang out. James looks at her drink, and he is going to introduce himself. Hi, my name is James. Just, been a long day. And obviously James maybe still looks it, but maybe he's got a bruise on his face where, before Officer Garcia and Officer Adder knew who he was. They maybe roughed him up a little bit. And so, he's like, yeah, it's been a rough day. She turns and looks at him, maybe with a little bit of scorn, but then she, sees, his black eye, and she's like, yeah, you look how I feel. I think I'm going to do a hearten, which, according to this, is when you socialize, share intimacy, or a moment of peace, roll heart. All right, so I'm going to... Okay, so that's a good one for me. So as I said, heart's a 3, so I rolled a 4, a 2, and a 1, so that's a strong hit. Find companionship or comfort in your strength of spirit strengthened. If you're shaken, clear the impact and +1, otherwise take +2 spirit. If you make this move as you sojourn, take +1 more. Okay, so my spirit's already at 5, but the whole point was to create companionship. So she kind of laughs, and she says, my name's Eve, and just sitting down here trying to escape the world. And James is intrigued and is like, I'm just here from Helios Station. I just bringing some stuff in, and ended up getting into a run-in with the guards. And Eve is saying, oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Our guards and guard forces usually have good reason to do so. James says, yeah, no, I think it was a simple misunderstanding, and so I'm trying to. We made amends, and I'm trying to help them out with an investigation. How do you live on the station? Eve says, well, in a manner of speaking, I've probably been here longer than most. And James notices she's got jet black hair. She wears glasses, which isn't out of the ordinary, but it's most people now get surgeries or what have you to correct any issues with their eyes. So it's you don't see a lot of people wearing glasses, but it does happen. So and her glasses have some kind of augment in them, so she can check emails or what have you. Eve says, yeah, I've just been dealing with some demons of my own. It's not fun when you lose a person, on your team. And James is instantly piqued. James says, did they leave the station or what have you? And Eve says, no, there was an accident and this person passed away from a vehicle spacewalk. You probably heard about her, Dr. Manand. It was the talk of the station for the last week. James is like, yeah, as a matter of fact, that's why the guards wanted to talk to me. Yeah, I think I want to try to encourage her to give me more information, if at all possible. So, yeah, let's do that. Let's see if I can, All right, so we got a 1 and a 5. So we have a strong hit. So we have another strong hit because my heart is 3. And so they'll do what you want or agree to your conditions. Take +1 momentum. All right, so I have a full 10 on my momentum right now. So James, I'm sorry for your loss. How did she pass away? I've been trying to get a hold of my captain to tell him the news. I don't know if they were close, but I'm just shocked. They're usually A's are fairly straightforward and easy, but from what the officers tell me, this was not an accident. And Eve says, yes, that's the other reason I'm kind of down here, kind of getting out of the way. I don't understand who would want to hurt Dr. Manand. she was fairly well liked by everybody. And ever since the accident and the incident before, it's just this place feels different, and I'm not exactly sure how or why. There was a So James is, taking this information down. What was your relationship with Dr. Manand? And so, what is it? Were they work colleagues? Was she was it a senior subordinate kind of thing? I'd say she was work colleagues. What was Dr. Manand's specialty? Well, we could infer that because this is a station that studies black holes, it might be something about the black hole, but maybe she's doing some other experiments on things like space, time, Einsteinian theory, that kind of thing, because Einstein's probably still mostly correct in the Forge. Maybe there's some other things, hydrogen densities, or maybe she's, space weather, or, particle physics. Maybe she was a particle physics. Maybe she was studying particle physics. Maybe the math exists for a as yet unseen particle. So, Dr. Manand was a particle physicist, and maybe the Forge opened up a whole new area of science. Maybe there's other symmetrical particles that didn't necessarily exist in the Milky Way galaxy, but because of the interesting makeup or cosmology of the Forge, that there's the particles for things like mass, like the Higgs boson. Maybe there's something that is elusive, but they haven't figured it out yet, and maybe so that's what we'll go with. So Eve says, Dr. Manand was one of the eminent particle physicists here on the station, and she was very much involved in our new initiative and getting the new lateral sensor array online so that we could study the black hole. She's been attempting to find the elusive particle sigma ray. And does James know what sigma ray is? I'm going to assume. Is he smart? I'm going to say he has wits. He has fairly good wits. Maybe there's news stories about it, when they were searching for the Higgs boson here at CERN back in, 2012, 2013. It was in the news all over the place, the Higgs field, the Higgs boson. So maybe sigma ray is one of those legendary particles. We'll just have to figure out what it does later. So let's say that he's got a better than average chance. Oh, yeah. Okay, so he knows what the sigma ray particle is. So he knows what the sigma ray particle is. That's an 08. So so James is, wow, everybody's, and it's been in the news. So wow, she's been the one trying to hunt that down. Do you think somebody might have killed her for that? Or is there, some kind of, prize or research for finding that? And, Eve says, well, that would be the equivalent of finding the Higgs boson when in the old Sol system in the history books, or understanding faster than light. It'd be on the same scale as faster than light. We don't know what kind of science could be unlocked if sigma ray is being found. It could open up whole avenues of science and scientific discoveries that would shake the forge for hundreds of years to come. And she thought that by discovering that or researching this black hole, and this one in particular, this phenomenon. She doesn't call it a black hole. She calls it researching this phenomenon, right? That she may be able to shed some light on what the sigma ray particle is. So James, as they're talking, you see she's finished her drink. Maybe we want to advance the story at this point. Let me see. So we want to. Do we want to make a connection with Eve? And maybe Eve. I'm gonna say let's try to make a connection with Eve. So he's like, I'm gonna be on the station for the next couple days, helping the security force. If you think of anything else, I'm on the Wild Deliverance. They're not letting me leave because I do have a connection, somewhat tenuously, to Dr. Manand. But if you think of anything, contact Officer Garcia or Officer Adder, or myself if you feel comfortable, because we'd love to get to the bottom of this. And Eve says, depending on the connection here. Okay, so the connection is a 5. And this would be heart, right? Making a connection. Yep. Okay, so this will be another hit. Yeah, another strong hit. So the doctor's like, yeah, if I think of anything, I'll let you know. Matter of fact, her team was very involved with the research, so you may want to go and talk to them. I can send you. Hold on, she goes, and you see her manipulating her. She touches her glasses, and you can see her pausing, and you hear what sounds like a sub vocal. You can see she's making some kind of gesture and vocalization, and you hear a ping in your pad or your thing. Obviously, her technology is a little bit better than yours, but you hear an email or you hear a message come through, and you can tell it's encrypted and it's ephemeral. And she's like, I sent you this information about the list of her crew or her research staff. It's a temporary message, so I don't want to be tracked or connected to any of this. So, but I appreciate you looking into my friend's murder and my colleague's murder. So, she's like, I really need to go. And so we've made a connection with Eve. And when you look at the message, you see the name. It says Dr. Voigt, Dr. Evelyn Voigt. And so Eve is now, or Dr. Voigt is a contact or connection. And so hopefully we'll be able to take advantage of that connection in the near future if we need any more information about the murder or anything else on the station. So before she leaves, James asks, how do you know about the Iron Dove? This is not a place for, and James looks at his email and realizes it's Dr. Evelyn Voigt. Would he know who Dr. Evelyn Voigt is? It's not the first time he's been here on the station, so maybe he would know. Maybe it's slightly likely. I'm gonna say it's better than average. I want to say it's better than average, so I'm gonna say likely. Okay, so yeah, he knows who he's like. He's like, you run the station. How do you know about this place? She's like, I'm making my business to know about everything on this station. And she's like, good night. And you see her walk off. All right, so she leaves, and he takes the rest of his whiskey and goes and sits down with Slick. Slick says, hey, what'd you find out? And he's like, very interesting discussion. And he fills her in about Eve. I don't even think he wants to share who that was with Slick immediately. He has no reason not to, but at this point, with a murderer on the station, I don't know if he wants to put Slick in any undue danger that might get her into trouble. So he tells her about Eve, and that Dr. Manand was looking for Sigma Ray, which is one of the particles, and Slick knows what that is, being an engineer herself. She's like, oh my God, wow. I was reading some stuff on that on the trip over here. She was very close. The galactic news is saying, she was almost on a breakthrough. And so I think what James and Slick want to do now is to head back to their ship and get I think they want to decompress and maybe get some sleep. Yeah, I think that's probably good. And then they'll be able to decompress and try and see what's going on the next day. James and Slick seem to have made a new friend at the bar with Eve, Evelyn, who we now know from our vignette is the director of the station. And I'm hoping that we'll see a few new things pop up in the next episode, move our story along here and get towards our denouement, if you will, of what exactly is going on at Neoma Station. And maybe it's a little bigger than all of us. So what I'm hoping we'll see in the next 2 to 3 episodes is a real movement of the story, and maybe a little bit of violence. Maybe we'll get some meaningless violence in here, just gratuitous bang bang shoot 'em up kind of stuff, just to move the story along. So thank you for watching. Remember to like, subscribe, and ring that bell and get notifications. Everybody says it on YouTube, so why shouldn't I? And we'll be back with episode 9 very soon. Okay? All right. Talk to you soon.